Hello, hello. Well, we had some emotional situation here. Well, trying to get in touch with you. I actually need you to let me know if you are seeing me. I can't see myself, but if you see me and if you hear me, for me that's fine. I'm just imagine you in this black screen. I'm just waiting for you to let me know if we can keep going or not. Uh, Fabiola says hi, but can you see me, Victoria? Yeah, can you see me or not? Well, in the meantime, I'm Rama Flores, trying to stream live from the northeast of Brazil and trying to invite you to this 3-day event that we call Astonished by the Shadows. An intent of playing with the idea of the need of entering in the emotional gardening. And I'm going to talk about why we choose this subject and why it's so important. But first of all, oh, someone says it looks beautiful. That's great for me. Actually, I can't see myself, but if you see me, that's great. Well, what I wanted to share with you is this idea of walking into this garden. The idea, the image of a garden, for me, it's so important. I mean, I grew up in the countryside. I present myself as a gardener. I love plants, and I have a garden here in this beautiful tropical weather place where we live. And I realized that the garden is like us. I mean, if you were following us for some time, we were sharing some Andean cosmovision. We were sharing uh, Andean healing cosmovision as well. We are sharing every week a class of Kanchari Andean yoga, which is some kind of healing through movement. But what we heal, do you realize what we are trying to get into? We are not healers of the body. Obviously, we have a lot better knowledge and technology with the medical technology and knowledge for all of us very accessible. But we are trying to focus, I mean, the Andean healing is focused in the affections. It's focused in the emotions. So for me, I realized that it's so important to um, get into the emotional garden as people who are trying to understand better the nature of our emotions. We all have emotions. We all are affected by the encounter with, you know, an old boyfriend or girlfriend or a parent that we had an argument, or um, we are affected by the news. We are affected by a beautiful sunset. We are affected. We are emotional people, but we know little about it. We need to be, in some way, curious about this. And I mean, there are many ways to get into this, but I want to give you this metaphor, getting into a garden, walking slowly, looking looking at the flowers, looking at the trees, and sitting down in this open grass. Can you see this? Well, you have to imagine this. But just sit down and let's talk about this emotional garden. Um, Obviously, you, Juanita, Amapola, Jem McKean, Fabiola, if you can share with us where you are and your name, obviously. Uh, you are different countries, different maybe language. I mean, I'm trying to speak in English, but I'm South American. I speak naturally speaking in Spanish. Uh, and all of you from Colombia, Juanita, all of you have different kind of relationship with the reality. I mean, we have some kind of frame, some kind of structure, some kind of filter, some kind of mask, or some kind of sunglasses to see reality, obviously affected by our culture, our gender, what we lived, and obviously all the consensus, all the conventions that are part of our culture. Staffordshire, England. Gemma, great. I used to live in in England, in Sheffield. I had a very good time there. Um I am trying to emulate the northern accent, but I'm not good at it at all. But uh, we all have different cosmovisions. We all have different ways to see reality. And we are all the time trying to bend, to stretch, and sometimes compress the way we see reality to connect with others. I mean, connect with others, meaning communication with other human beings. But moreover that, communicate with the trees, your car, your computer or your cell phone, this sunset right now, right now. So we can accept that we are different ways to see reality and accepting the difference of it. So before we went into the nature of emotions and how we feel, why we feel, and especially focusing in what is the shadow or what is the unconscious. We're going to talk this in the second class next Wednesday. Today, I want to talk about what's the frame. Excellent, Sheffield is not. It's about an hour and a half. Oh, that's great. I love the northern people. Northern England is beautiful. Uh, very rainy, very cold, but nice, very nice people. Uh, I want to focus today in the ambiguity we have in relationship with the world. Ambiguity. I'm going to talk a bit in a second about this. But before, I want to tell you a little story. I mean, maybe you have never heard about this story. It's a very uh, rare story. It's about a grasshopper and an ant, maybe. Well, you've heard it many times. It's a very common tale. In Spanish, we change the insect and we use a cicada instead of a grasshopper. It's a Aesop fable, very famous. It's about the ants working and storing food before the winter, working, ordering, and giving their effort for the community. And the cicada, I like the cicada because it sings. The cicada was just playing maybe a violin, playing Paganini, beautiful sound, but the ants couldn't listen. They were just working and focusing in what they have to have done, storing food, preparing for the bad times. The cicada plays Paganini, plays Mozart, plays don't know, rumba and salsa music. Why not? But the ants still working, and obviously at some point, it comes the autumn, in comes the winter, and the ants, they are inside their little underground house, hot, full of food, having good time inside. But the cicada start to starve, and the cicada knocks the door and asks for food and asks for shelter. And that's a bit cruel. In the original fable, it says literally the ants answer to the request of the cicada. Making music, were you? Very well, now dance. And they shut the door, they turn their backs on the cicada. So that's very cruel. It sounds like the morale of the story is like you have to work and prepare for bad times, effort, and don't play around, don't play music, just order your life, which is, well, at sometimes it's a good morale. You know, the Walt Disney made this same story with a different twist. I don't know if you watched this, maybe you did. If you realize, he made a very little twist. The ants accept the cicada or the grasshopper in, and the grasshopper plays music during the winter, and they enjoy to be prepared for the cold weather, for the bad times. They enjoy the music. They play on with the music. So that's very interesting. The metaphor changes. The ants accept, surrender to the idea of the injustice of the cicada not storing food, but he had, or it has, the cicada had something unique, some kind of value, the music. So it changes the way we see reality. Are you now an ant? Are you a cicada? Are you a grasshopper? What's your time now? Are you feeling that you have to order, you have to work, you have to store for bad times? Can we prepare for bad times? Can we control the situations of the next future? Sometimes we see future as a bad thing. In the last times, we can be sure that smells like apocalypse. Well, I don't think so too much. But the movies are all around playing with that idea. Or are you a cicada? Just playing, just enjoying, not getting worried about the future, just playing music. What's is any position to be accepted or rejected? We are part of the society. I just told this story because I want to show you that we are part of a society that deals badly with ambivalence, ambiguity, contradiction. I mean, Walt Disney had a very good idea to mix the both morale and both play in the same at the end of the cartoon. But most of the people say, well, we have to be ants, we have to work, we have to be responsible. Or on the other hand, some people could be rebel and say, no, I want to be a grasshopper. I am a grasshopper. I'm against the system, against the rules, against the order. What if there are no right answer? There are not just one answer. Our societies, I mean, you and me, used to take sides when we have a situation that it sounds a bit difficult to deal with. We just pick one of the teams and see the other side as our enemy, or maybe the oppositions that we have to domain, we have to reject, we have to argue, we have to win, obviously. We choose the side that is right, that has the truth, that is pure in some way, that it has the possibility to win. So that lead us to take a side, to deal bad with oppositions. But if you walk into any garden, walk into the garden, please imagine that you are walking into the garden, any garden, and you realize that you have flowers, you have trees, you have grass, you have birds. We have plenty of birds right here. You have crickets and cats. Can you control that? All of that? Well, some gardeners are trying all the time to control their gardens, like a Victorian garden, completely planned and supposedly controlled. But so much effort and energy to control that. What if you let it flow a bit? If you let it flow completely, it's gonna become a little forest. I mean, you can't live in wild forests unless you are a native. We need some kind of order, some bit of order. But if we put a lot of order in our garden, it's gonna become maybe just one plant garden, just grass. That's a perfect, easily to control garden, just grass. If you allow more diversity, you have to deal with the ambivalence. You have to dance. In the Andean traditions, actually, the Andean cosmovision is very good on ambivalence, especially because of their language. The language is, it has the words, they have a lot of semantic fields. They mean a lot of things. They are polysemic. So they naturally are a bit loose on positioning into a oppositional conflict and a duality. So they have this beautiful idea. They call it Aini. Aini. Aini is like, how can you translate it? Like reciprocity. If you can have reciprocity with the reality, I mean, reciprocity with life. You can have reciprocity with your friend or with your workmate. For example, your workmate give you a lift to a place, and later on you can give it back to the same person. So you are just have reciprocity. But Aini is something else. Aini, it is some kind of correspondence, kind of dialogue with the other. Dialogue not just with the person, dialogue with everything around life. So if you start to dialogue, sometimes you talk, sometimes you listen. That's a dialogue. When you deal badly with ambivalence, you can talk and you can hear, you just walk away and you maybe fight or even try to kill or try to domain or try to colonize. But if you have dialogue, if you can talk with the other, suddenly something change. Your positions, your choose of sides could change, could be more relaxed, more soft. You can even could find some points of connection between you. You can build a bridge. So Aini is like a bridge where you can give and you can receive. Actually, the Andinian image symbol of Aini is two hands, one giving and one receiving. Aini, it happens in every situation, and especially it's happening right now in you, in me, in, for instance, our breath. Air coming in, air coming out. We are, if you realize, every time you breathe in, you have to push air in, push in. You have to ask for this kind of blessing. The breath is a blessing. Is that what is holding you alive? So you ask for the blessing, and when you breathe out, you relax, you surrender, you can give away your gratitude. So, Aini, you could say, is like asking and giving, offering and accepting, dialogue with the other. Other, put everything on the other. Another person, your companion, your child, your parent, your pet, your dreams, your work, your workmates, your uh, neighbors, this almost night. You can dialogue with everything. And if you flow, because that's one of the qualities of I need flow. When I say flow, it reminds me to the idea of Wu Wei. Have you heard that concept of the Taoism? Wu Wei. It's like not doing, not doing, in the sense of not passivity, but just flow. Not doing is not just not making the act of doing. It's not making an effort. Just playing with the ambiguity of doing and at the same time not putting your too much your will on it. Wu Wei is beautiful. And I'm talking about this because we need to understand this ambivalence, this flow between two concepts that are very important to understand in gardening and in societies and in yourself, in your life. I'm not just making something abstract. It's about you and me and this emotional garden. Being sensitive or being resilient. Sensitive or resilient. They are opposites. In maybe my parents' generation and going back, the resilience it was so important to harden yourself, to be tough, to be that sentence of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The fighting, the being hard to stand for something, for someone. It was so important when we were in the beginning of human being. I mean, the human race. In the beginning of human race, holding up, using our intelligence to break our natural weakness. I mean, we are weak in comparison with the tiger. We are very weak, but we have the thinking part, which is from that weakness we can come up with something new, maybe a bit more, well, a lot more dangerous thinking. But suddenly and slowly, as we get into a society more egalitarian, more just, with more justice, more in peace, we start to develop sensitivity. We don't need so much resilience, so we can allow us to be more sensitive. And that's the tendency in the maybe last century, the growing tendency of being sensitive, you and me sensitive, to be fragile, to be vulnerable, and to be allowed to be fragile. And as we can show our fragility, we can realize and we can share with the others the injustice, what is wrong in our society. It led us to realize the big injustice of race, of gender, of any kind of minorities suddenly, because of the sensitivity, they had a voice. They had a voice. It changes the rights, the possibilities to change the way we see some difficult subjects as women in society, Black people in society, indigenous people in our societies. So, children, a few Centuries ago, a child had no rights at all. So our sensitivity helped us to grow a lot as human race. But there's something going on right now. The sensitivity allowed us to enjoy and express and explore more open our emotions. But at the same time, we are, and the newer generations, I have four daughters from 16 years old to 5. And I can see how sensitive and at the same time fragile they are in comparison with our way to be educated. So the excess of attention on fragility, it sounds like we have to be cared for someone, especially and obviously our parents, and an extension of our parents, our government. The government, the society needs to look after the fragility of people. And that gives us an ambiguous situation. Who is the responsibility? If you follow me, maybe you can say, well, it's the government, it's the parents. What about the individual, the subject? Are we just taking out the responsibility? So, which is the way to come back to responsibility? Maybe to harden ourselves, to be more resilient. So, we have these two poles, sensitivity and resilience. So, how can we how can we uh, create a dialogue between sensitivity and resilience? I mean, we are maybe facing very difficult times, crisis, ecological crisis. Are we prepared in our big fragility, emotional fragility, being so open to the empathy, which is a very important thing, but are we ready to face difficulties? I'm just, I don't have an answer for that, obviously. I'm just asking you, what do you think about it? Do we just keep being sensitive, or we need to be resilient? There are many authors thinking in one side and the other. But as I said, I would like you to play with the idea that we can be part of a society that is very sensitive to the differences, to the minorities, to the ones who need to be cared, and at the same time, to be, as individuals, resilient, accepting the responsibility of dancing together, dancing with the sensitivity. I used to live sometimes with the Queros people in the Andes, in the high Andes, and I always was amazed by their hands. I mean, they are farmers, they are strong people, they are working all day long. planting potatoes, looking after the herds of alpacas and llamas, and working with the weavers, the handcraft people. So their hands are very rough and strong, but at the same time they are healers, and for being a healer they need to be delicate. So they were during the morning planting potatoes, making a very strong effort to break the cold soil of the mountain, full of stones, like breaking the soil to put the potato inside the soil, planting the potato. And that night they make an offering, and those hands are so delicate, and their mind is so delicate to create beauty with colors, with seeds and flowers and prayers. So, what I'm pointing out today, oh, Gemma says, I think to learn resilience and compassionate to those around. Well, that's my point, Gemma. We need to be responsible for our lives, and at the same time to ask society and the way we organize society, the government, to look after the people who needs to be cared of, to be compassionate, uh, to have empathy for others. So can you see that it's a contradiction, it's ambiguity, and I'm pointing out to the ambiguity to realize that it's going to help us to understand in the next encounter the shadows. Otherwise, we're going to understand the shadow as the enemy. We're going to understand the shadow as uh, some part of us that we have to control, we have to, or even take out or kill. So I'm starting today with this ambiguity, the dancing of ambiguity. But I don't want just to talk. I would like you to practice something. So I want you to invite you for a little meditation, a little meditation. Don't worry, it won't take long. But in this meditation, I want you to be guided to play with the opposites. And when the opposites plays together, dance together in the Andes, when an opposition encounters the counterpart, it's called yananting. The opposites playing together, dancing together. So if you join me, I'm gonna just go a bit further out because I want to show you a little movement that we're gonna do. We're gonna meditate and first dance a bit, but don't worry, we won't dance a lot. We're just gonna move our hands and breathe. So please take a comfortable position. If you can let your phone or your computer at some distance so you can use both hands. First, I want you to put your hands in your heart. Keep your eyes open and try to focus your attention in your heart. As you focus on your heart, you can realize that your chest is just dancing, letting the air come in and out, and maybe you can feel your heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. So I want you to play with me in a movement with both hands. With the back of our hand, we're gonna draw two circles around our chest, like two circles, and come back to our heart. So from our heart, we're gonna draw two circles around our heart. When they join, the backs of our hand, they join, we're gonna draw a single circle, but vertical in this time. Vertical circle, and come back. This movement is the symbol of Aini. So we're gonna bring in the blessing, bring in the blessing, bring in the blessing in two circles, the duality, the dance of duality coming in, and we're gonna give out unity. So we're gonna breathe in as we draw these two circles, breathe in, and when we join from our heart, we breathe out and give. So breathe in and accept the blessing we call Saminche in Quechua language, and breathe out and give Anyai, gratitude. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and bring in blessings. Breathe out and give your gratitude. Breathe in. Just find your own rhythm and play with it. Just dance with your hands. Breathing in and breathing out. Giving and receiving. One more time, breathing in, breathing out. And leave your hands in your heart and close your eyes. And imagine that, visualize that in your heart there's a garden. This garden is the way you dream of, you like, the kind of flowers, the colors, the trees, grass, birds, maybe a pond, maybe a bench. This is the heart garden, like a secret garden inside your heart. You can visualize it sunny, smells beautiful, the weather is perfect. Everything feels soft and clear at the same time. You can see the open sky, and you can see clouds. And it gets even more cloudy, some dark clouds around, and suddenly rain starts. And you can enjoy the change of the colors, smell with the rain. It's different. And you can enjoy that. And you can see from your perspective that the sun is going away, it's sunset, you can see the lights coming out in the horizon and the shadows start to grow in your garden. But you can't feel any threat. It's just feeling great. The night is coming and the shadows unifies the diversity of colors, of images. Everything is becoming dark and unite. You can feel the sounds of this night. Now you can visualize the sunrise, the cold of morning time, the birds, maybe a peacock, the trees getting green again by the lights of Taitainti, the sun. Everything dance, all kinds of oppositions, of duality, dance, complements, correspond, flow. And slowly, very slowly, you leave your garden in so much joy and amusement and astonished by this amazing and beautiful and simple space inside your heart. Very slowly, pay attention to your breath, your heartbeat, and join your hands in prayer. Join right and left. Join masculine and feminine, creating the most sacred symbol of correspondence, of dialogue. And slowly open your eyes, and you can say with me, Urpichai Sonkochai, Urpichai Sonkochai, Urpichai Sonkochai. That's a that's an Andean expression, Urpichai Sonkochai. Andean expression that means the dove that nests in my heart flies to the nest of your heart. It's a poetic way to say thank you. Not just thank you for you to be with me. Thank you for all the synchronicities of life that help us be together right now. Um I hope you enjoy that. I hope you feel the different diversity in your garden. If you feel the sun and the rain, the day and night, even you can feel the seasons, the different colors, the different possibilities. I want you to experience the possibility of correspondence that doesn't need to take sides. So I'm going to share with you this meditation in an audio. I'm going to extract the audio in today's class, and I'm going to share that in the group. And next Wednesday, if we have uh, all the synchronicities from our side, we're gonna have the second day in this event of Astonished by the Shadows. We're gonna get into, especially, we're gonna rest in the shadows. We're gonna get into our garden and find the shadow, and from the shadows, we're gonna talk about what is the shadows, what's the how we face the shadows, what can we do with the shadows, can we do something with the shadows? Do we have to fight? Do we have to turn them off? We have to enlighten them? We're going to talk about this, and I hope you join us next Wednesday, the same time. It's 1, I think 1 p.m. Pacific Day time. It's 4 p.m. East Daytime, and it's gonna be 9 p.m. Central Europe time. Thank you, Gemma. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you, Fabiola, and thank you for being there, for playing with me, for listening, and in some way dialoguing with me, dialoguing with these uh, ideas, or maybe half ideas, some poetry coming from uh, my heart. So thank you so much. We're gonna send to the group the recording of the meditation if you want to repeat that and just that bit. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you. Big hug to you, and see you next Wednesday. Bye bye.